too big a word. That's like mayonnaise. I'm assuming that's the biggest word I know.
Hello, everyone, and welcome on into the Blitz NFL Player Props with none other than Santa's favorite helper, Derek Carty. Derek, welcome to our very holiday edition here. Absolute shout out to Justin again on a fantastic graphic as always. And we're back for another great week here.
Yeah, we are. The graphic is amazing. We have the holidays coming up soon. We have quite a few good props to go over today, starting a little bit earlier than usual, but hopefully everyone is able to join us, and we'll get some winners.
Yep. Yeah. If you're joining us at the normal time right now, hopefully you realized, and well, you're here, so you did realize that, yep, we went a little bit early, but hey, we are still here, and hopefully there's still some value on the board for you guys coming in late. But for you guys that are here live with us, thank you so much as always. Milo Kaminsky saying Derek looks way too much like John Lovett. Michael Zimmerman saying lovely start to the week last night. Yeah, we did have a good night out of Thursday Night Football, didn't we?
Was people in chat were in the Discord were saying they had a really good night. I know everything I bet hit, so it was definitely a good one.
Nice. Yeah, I had a couple good bets in there too. So I'm happy about the start, and let's keep that gravy train rolling, because last week, well, the good news is we didn't have a bad week, Derek. We didn't have a good week, but we didn't have a bad week. We broke even here, 6-6 for 0.06 units of profit. Those interception props, I mean, they're going to get you sometimes. We know that that's the name of the game when it comes to these things.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, you're betting these knowing that they're like 50, maybe 60% kind of propositions, and the coin flip can always go the other way, but you bet enough of them over the course of a year, and you'll be profitable, especially when they offer you plus money on them. So that's been the case this year. It didn't work out last week. Darnold, I feel like I haven't won a Darnold bet all year, and he's been amazing. Like every time I bet him, just something weird happens where like he doesn't get the yardage or the completions or whatever I need, even though he has a great game. Like every time. I think he finished like 9 yards shy last week, and that was frustrating.
Yeah, he finished 9 yards shy, and then Monday Night Football for me was a nightmare. Jacoby Myers over 60 yards, finishes with 59.
Yeah.
Yep. And there were two more props on there that I had that just barely.
Monday night was a bloodbath. I lost every bet I made on Monday night.
Yeah, I did too. It was absolutely horrendous. But if you did tune into the ESPN broadcast there at the end,
I saw.
yeah, I did make a little bit of an appearance on that. So if anybody caught the end of that game and were like, "Is that Tom in the post game interviews?" Yes, it was. We had a very, very fantastic day watching that game. So I don't have that many complaints here. And let's see, we got a whole bunch of people in the chat here. Balin Hefferman's back saying ho ho ho. Reed Phillips is here. Sports Videos back as always. Yahtzee saying variance is on the naughty list here. And Michael did say lovely start. Yeah, variance last week was a little bit rough. Jessica Brandt already throwing some comments in the chat for us. Love to see you here with us, Jessica. Great friend of the show. Thoughts on Rashad White under 49.5? We'll talk about that and more. I will say Rashad has just burned us a bunch of times this season. Now it feels
so many
like
times.
Yeah.
He feels like he owes us some money this week.
Yeah. So let's see if we can get it. I mean, Bucky, we'll talk more about it for sure. The Gambler asking, what does NIR stand for? So it's twofold. First off, that is my actual license plate. My dog, she would make, that's the sound she would make when she was like telling you to just back off. She would go near. Well, she wasn't the friendliest dog. We loved her, but she was a little mean. But she would go near. And my grandfather was a veterinarian, and his license plate was always grr. And so I was like, you know what? I know exactly what I want to make mine. Las Vegas, very famous for very cheap license plates because like you can get, everyone has vanity plates here because they're so cheap here. LD Yank saying drops killed Darnold. Hey, yep, there I was. It was it was fun. I had my 15 minutes of fame. Last week was a big week. Got the Stephen A. Smith shout out, and then got to go be on Monday Night Football too, We had a great time. Rob Holden saying, I don't know if Myers caught a pass till the fourth.
Yeah, I don't think he did.
Yeah, and then he still almost got there.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and we lost he probably would have got there too. That was they had that terrible roughing the passer call that like cost them like 2 minutes of their garbage time.
Yep.
And like so much missed, like just by a little bit because we didn't have those extra 2 minutes. But yeah, it happens sometimes. That's the nature of the game. But it never feels good when it's like it feels like it should win and it doesn't.
Yep. Well, Myers hooked. Ritter missed by like 4 yards. Raiders 5.5. It was brutal. I assumed it was New York Rangers. Yep, a lot of people do. And then Kirk's killing the Falcons in my bets. Yes, but this week the Penix rises. Interviewing literally the only good player in the game too. He was also a really nice guy. Drake London caught a touchdown, but did not break the receiving record, which is what I needed in my fantasy matchup. But Derek, let's get into it here. Let's talk about some props because we have another great week ahead of us here, and we got a lot of bangers to get to on the list. So let's get started. We're going to Caleb Williams, and we are going to his under on these completions. I bet this one earlier in the week, so glad to see it on the list.
Yep. Caleb Williams under 20.5 completions, minus 108 at FanDuel is the best line right now. I think they actually might be the only 20.5. Everyone else has moved down. I imagine FanDuel will move down at some point soon too. You can see everyone else is 19.5. They're fine. The 19.5s are okay. But if you can get this 20, obviously you're getting a good amount of extra value.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams hasn't been very good this year for all the hype and rookie stuff. I mean, I say it at the start of every year and no one wants to believe it, but generally speaking, rookie quarterbacks are among the worst quarterbacks in football. And there are exceptions like Jaden Daniels or Bo Nix. But Caleb Williams has been one of the worst quarterbacks in football. That should be our expectation. The matchup here is not particularly good. Outdoors against the Lions, he'll have a passing game script, but the Lions like to run the ball. They tend to run a slow offense, eat up clock. Playing from ahead, I would expect them to do this here. So hopefully the play volume in general will be down a little bit for Caleb, and just the talent level itself doesn't quite mesh with this line.
Yeah, 20.5 is a lot of completions, and he's a guy who doesn't really check down the ball. He tries to make plays with his feet and improvise to hit something deeper. Like, he's not captain check down here where he's racking up easy completions.
No,
part of that's an offensive design problem. Part of that is a Caleb problem. He's going to have to learn that in the league here. Yahtzee's saying, is Derek dunking on his preseason Caleb takes yet? Were you big on Caleb going into the season?
No, I wasn't. I don't think. I'm very rarely high on rookie quarterbacks. Yeah. I guess the Blitz like Caleb a little bit for season long, and it like Jaden Daniels a lot too. But yeah, generally, I just think people get they think they know who's going to be really good, and like we just don't. There's just so much randomness, even in high draft prospects.
Yeah. Jessica Brand saying Prize Picks still at 20 even if you want to play them. So there you go there on Prize Picks. And Sports Video says, at what point do they give up on the season? They think they should probably make sure he's healthy next season. I disagree. Play him the rest of the way. It's a meaningless season. You might as well get him the reps. He's a rookie quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you're not putting him in harm's way. But I think you want him to get all the experience he can get.
Yep. And Yahtzee's saying, okay, you were not high on it.
Yeah.
The next one, though, I mean, our favorite player is Chuba Hubbard. Our second favorite player is Cooper Rush. Let's talk about Cooper Rush here. And we, of course, are going back to this. Well, we're betting a Cooper Rush over, ladies and gentlemen.
We are, yeah. This is another one where FanDuel seems to be a little behind the market today. Everyone else has moved up to 22.5. He's sitting 21.5 minus 128 at FanDuel. Cowboys throw the ball. Cooper Rush throws the ball a lot. Even with Dak out, he still throws. Should be a pretty good game script. Should be indoors. Decent pace. This is, they should be playing from behind. This just sets up as another Cooper Rush spot that have been profitable this year.
Yeah. I mean, hey, as far as backup quarterbacks go, they clearly trust him with the offense. He's been in the system for so long, and he's really on the high end of backup quarterbacks here. he's a competent passer, and like you said, he's hit this a couple times.
Yeah, no, he's got Brandon Cooks back now. He's got Ferguson back healthy. He's got weapons to throw to. I like Cooper Rush.
Yeah, I know I lost on that Cooks over last week, but oh well. Next up here, I really like this one. We're going to Breece Hall, and we are going to the receptions market here. And as involved as he's been in the passing game, that knee is very much questionable, and I completely see where you're going with this one.
Yeah, so we're looking at his under 3.5 receptions, minus 120 at, I think Hard Rock and Flip both have it. Yeah. But there's minus 125s, minus 130s out there too that are fine. The knee is obviously in question. Any injury, makes this a kind of a slam dunk. They really seem to be trusting, the rookies more last week with Breece Hall coming back from the injury. Like, he did not play as much as he normally did. They played Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis quite a bit. You got to hope Allen goes this week because he's banged up too. But even if he doesn't, I still see Davis eating in a good amount here. And since they traded for Devontae Adams, like him and Garrett Wilson have just gotten the majority of the targets. Halls have gone down. Now Alan Lazard is back, and we know that Rodgers likes to throw to Alan Lazard. So only so many targets to go around here, and Hall is banged up, and the volume's down.
They a whole lot working against him here, not a lot working in his favor. And they are at the point in the season where they're starting to give some of the younger guys a little more tread, like especially with running back. It's not like Caleb Williams where they want to give him reps here. They want to preserve Breece for as long as they can. Jessica saying she loves this one. Balin Heffernan real quick asking about that Cooper Rush prop over 22.5 on MGM. Still good.
It's going to depend on the odds. Let's take a look real quick.
Everything depends on the odds.
Yeah, so minus 105. I'm okay with that. I mean, it's a little lower than I want. Even this is not quite as strong as I normally go for. I think you're okay to bet that if you want. Or I think his attempts market also looks good. You could take a look at that.
Rob, taking the words out of your mouth here, I'm surprised to see such a low edge percentage as an official play for Cooper Rush. Is this more about game script and feel as opposed to the Blitz's numbers?
A little bit. I normally say I like at least like a 20%, kind of threshold, but you know what? I know why it's low. Because it was 20.5 before the show, and it's 21.5 now.
That's going to do it.
That will definitely do it. I'm looking at it, I'm like, really? This is, no, it must have moved up one before, shortly before the show started. So don't like it as much as I thought I did, but it's still fine.
Yeah, it got us because FanDuel didn't adjust their juice. They kept it at minus 128. They just
kept it exactly the same. Yeah, and I knew it was off from the other books, so I'm like, oh yeah, this looks right. But no, this is a completion higher than I thought we were going to get.
Yeah. Okay. So do we want to dump this from the official show play?
No, I mean, we told people to bet it. I don't think it's fair to dump it. So we'll keep it on there. But just, anyone watching on repeat or whatever, probably wouldn't have included this one at 21.5.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, sometimes we're going to make a bad bet. Rob Holden says he still played it, loved it. Let's just have him hit 23 completions and we're good.
Easy enough.
Yeah. And then Andrew saying, are his attempts a better play now if we were able to cash out the completions?
Yeah. So I think, let me take a quick look at his.
Milo says just a couple more Rico dump offs. We'll get there on those. Let's get it.
Yeah. So FanDuel, I don't know if they moved the attempts too, but they had 33.5 minus 108. I liked that quite a bit. Everywhere else is like 34.5 minus 115.
And you can still middle it with 22.5 if you really desire to, although that would have been a pretty nice middle back at 20. All right, let's go to a guy here in Amari Cooper, who, as much as he's been, the Bills finally have a wide receiver one here. I almost forgot that he's on the Bills now. But what, no targets last week?
No targets. They had Dalton Kincaid and Keon Coleman back. They came out after the game. I think it was McDermott that said, like, we spread the ball around. There are going to be games where guys don't see the ball. That's just kind of how the offense works. This doesn't seem like a situation where like Amari Cooper didn't get the ball and now they're going to try to force feed it to him, like, at all.
Yeah.
This game projects as, I think, the slowest pace of the week, or maybe the second slowest. So play volume in general is going to be down. Buffalo should be playing pretty healthily from ahead, so they probably shouldn't need to throw the ball all that much. It's going to be freezing cold here. It's like 15 degrees or something, which temperature doesn't matter a lot, but when it's that cold, it does matter a little bit, and that is in the projection. And yeah, like there's so many mouths to feed here between Shakir and Dalton Kincaid and obviously Amari Cooper. And you have Keon Coleman now, and Ty Johnson has been really good in the past game, and they've been talking him up. Like there's a lot of mouths to feed here.
Yeah. Yahtzee saying apparently teams like trading for wide receivers they don't use. I mean, it's true. Devontae Adams is getting that used, but no Mike Williams for the Steelers. Jerry Judy's about to see his usage tank off a cliff. Free Jameis
Johnson is the poster boy this year.
I hate it, man. Bro KGB is saying late to the Carty party, but catching up. Oh God, I hope that he's live with us now and he didn't bet the Cooper Rush one. It's like Interstellar. We're like, no, go back. Jessica saying there's an ARB right now, seeing plus 110, 365 to under 2.5, over 2.5 at minus 105 at Bovada. So there you go. You could get a potential ARB out of that spot if you so desire to. Sports video saying Ty Johnson, wide receiver 1. And Deontay Johnson, who has also done absolutely nothing. That was ridiculous. Who got 14 targets against LA? Amari, maybe?
Was it Ty Johnson? No, that wouldn't. I don't know.
Sick boy helping us out here. And Pinnacle just made it an ARB too. All right, you've got a bunch of arbitrage opportunities. And Amari Cooper is the one who had 14 targets. Okay. Yeah, it's like we said, feast or famine sometimes with some of those.
Yeah, and it's fine. I mean, there is going to be high variance. Like it doesn't matter if a bet wins by or if a bet loses by one reception if he gets 3 or if he gets 14. Like if he does, he does. There will be some games where that happens, but on average, and when you look at the distribution, he'll be on the underside of this more often.
Yeah. Now, 14 targets, then 0. Love the league. It is how it goes. And like we said, Coleman and Kincaid are back in. But this is also not a game where, as Milo points out, this isn't a game where they're going to have to throw the ball a lot. Like, we're not going to see the same shootout, Josh Allen, superhuman performance we saw.
No, they're what, two touchdown favorites here, something like that. So they really should be able to run the ball as much as they want, I would think.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about that Dorian Thompson-Robinson, because we are going to be going back to the interceptions market, which has not been friendly to us, but instead of an under, we're playing an over this week on him.
We are. So we're going to jump over to EV Analytics. We're going to look at interceptions, and we are looking at Dorian Thompson-Robinson over half an interception, minus 165 at MGM and ESPN are our best bets here. The Blitz does not recommend a lot of interception overs. It has been highly recommending Jameis Winston every week for the last 6 weeks, and that has gone really, really well. Obviously, they're benching Jameis now, and they're putting in Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and the Blitz is still on this. So, yes, Jameis is a guy who, just by the nature of how he plays, throws interceptions. But also this is a Cleveland offense that we don't know exactly what's going to look like with Thompson-Robinson starting instead of Winston, but they have been extremely pass heavy, extremely fast paced. They just run a billion plays every game, and they're going to be playing from behind against Cincinnati most likely and throwing all game at some point, just from pure volume alone and from this guy not really being a very good quarterback. There's a good chance of an interception happening. The Blitz sees this as a, let me take a look real quick. As, oh my God, an 83% chance of throwing an interception. So we're paying some juice for it, but that's been the case with Jameis the last few weeks too. So I'm just going to keep riding this.
Yeah. Kyle says is minus 165 a play. I'd say that's still in the realm. Sick Boy did hit Winston 2+ at plus 295 last week. That's a nice hit. And Dorian Thompson 2+ is plus 265. That's how low it is. Wild. And DTR has a higher interception percentage. 2+ at plus 265. Good. I don't know, Derek. Do you want to weigh in on the 2+ market? I feel like that's something we're just like, if you want a flyer for the holidays.
Yeah, it's not something I have the math run for, but just kind of eyeballing it, like that seems good to me. I'd be okay taking that if you want.
Yeah, Connor Fraser saying is minus 183 good. I would recommend finding a better price. They're available. Like that's a steep enough where you can say, okay, let me go price shop this.
Yeah, I mean, they are all steep. You can see there's an offshore that has minus 182 here, and it still shows plenty of value. You want to get a better line if you can. But even this minus 194, the bot, like it's still showing value. So I don't mind.
Yeah. Milo saying, I commented to a friend that I only wanted to play one bet this week and just put my entire bankroll on it. And it's this DTR bet. Yeah, I'll pay some juice on this one too. We're gonna be really singing the praises if he throws one here. So but Cincy, help us out. Do your part, please. All right. Let's head back. No, we're not going to head back over yet because we're going to be talking about Bryce Young. And we're going to be going to his carries market here. So we're going to stick with the Blitz and go to Bryce Young rushing attempts.
Yep. This is one, if you followed me at all this year, I bet this one kind of frequently. Bryce Young under carries, under 3.5, plus 110 here. You can see the Blitz is projecting about 3. We're getting plus money on it. Bryce Young doesn't get designed runs. And they don't win many games. So he doesn't get a lot of kneel downs. So he has to get there on scrambles, which you never know when a scramble is going to be there. Mm-hmm. But 4 rushes for a guy who they just don't draw anything up for is always a lot. So this is one the Blitz likes frequently. I have to go back and double check. I imagine it's been profitable this year, but I'm going back to it again this week.
Not to mention the fact that he doesn't, like, he's so small, they don't call QB sneaks either.
No, they don't even do that.
Yeah. Like, and that's where you're really going to get it. Like, if you're down by the goal line and they're just like, oh, okay, well, we got a 3rd and 1, we're sneaking it. And then 4th and 1, we're sneaking it. That's 2 right there. You're not getting those out of this guy.
No, you're not. Like, when I say they don't draw anything up for him, like literally anything. I think he's maybe had 1 designed run all year or something crazy.
They should just like pick him up and throw him over the line. He's small enough. All right. Next up, we have Matthew Stafford, and we're sticking with the quarterback rushing markets here. And Stafford does not like to run the football. That is for sure.
Yes, this is one I've been on the last few weeks. Last week did not work out. It was frustrating. The week before did, but Matthew Stafford is another guy who doesn't run. Like, they don't give him any design runs, even sneaks. He'll get them, but not a lot. I think he's only gone over this line like 3 times all year, and we're getting it at minus 110. Mm-hmm. I pointed out last week just how outrageous this market is. And we're back getting another minus 110 on it. So I'll take this. There's also a decent chance that like his only runs this game are kneel downs, and he ends up with negative yardage. Like they're just So exactly. Are kneel downs a concern? If we were betting carries, they would be. If we're betting rushing yards, they would work in our favor.
Mm-hmm. And then Yahtzee saying Stafford only runs when I bet him, and Milo says, guess which 3 games I bet Stafford under.
Yeah. Last week was definitely one of them. And I think he had like 4 rushes for like 20 yards or something stupid. But that's not Matthew Stafford. That's probably why they're giving us this line again, because of last week. So I'll just take it, realize last week was the outlier, and hopefully this one's a gimme.
Yeah. Thank you guys for getting us to 1,550 subscribers, by the way. Please, if you're not already subscribed, feel free to hit that button. I'm curious, real quick, before we head back to the rest of our plays here. This is not a show play. What's Aaron Rodgers' number at?
Let's take a little look. Looks like only Prize Picks has Aaron Rodgers rushing yards up right now, and it's at 2.5.
Oh. I mean, if the rest of the market comes in and starts putting that out, give that to me because he's not playing like an old man. He's running the football. I mean, we saw him lead the team in rushing last week. Mobile threat Aaron Rodgers. All right. Russian saying, I joked with my buddy I was going to take the over instead. Wish I had actually done it. Yeah, seriously. And Jessica Brand giving a shout out to the Unabated podcast. Thank you so much, Jessica. Friend of the show and give former guest on the pod as well. Love to have you back, especially with baseball season coming up. All right. Next up, let's head back to Unabated here because we are going to be headed to Jameson Williams reception market here. And I mean, talk about another feast or famine guy. He has some games where he goes off. He has some games where he does absolutely nothing. And we are looking at that under 3.5 receptions this week.
Yeah. Like you said, another high variance guy where he could just smash this and make it look really bad, or he could wind up with 1 or 2 catches. We already did the Goff under, so we know the Blitz kind of likes or is down on rather the Lions passing offense in general. They're outdoors. They're going to be playing from ahead, probably going to slow down the pace a little bit. Jameson Williams has been a little bit less involved of late with Sam Laporta. Once Sam Laporta's in the mix, and he's like acting more like Sam Laporta lately. He's getting involved in the offense. He's getting targets. Yeah. That's led to a little bit less for Jameson Williams. And then also Dan Campbell likes to talk about how Jameson Williams is a man coverage beater. And you look at his numbers and like he has the skill set like that tracks. Chicago plays man at a very low rate, mostly zone. And so this doesn't really set up as a Jameson Williams kind of spike week. I like this one a lot.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this one as well. I think that, like you said, it's just there's not enough passing volume in an offense with so many mouths to feed. Are you worried at all? I know Amon-Ra St. Brown was a little banged up last week, but I don't think he's really been on the injury reports. I don't think we have anything to worry about there, but I'm just thinking out loud.
As far as I know, he's fine, a little banged up and he'll be playing. If he doesn't play, I would be very surprised. That wasn't on my radar at all.
Yeah. I love parlaying Jameson under catches with his over yards. He is such a big play guy here. Al Mello saying his minus 105 still good. Yeah, we've still got a pretty good edge on that.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the edge here is huge. If we find DK has a 105, 35% still. You're definitely fine there.
Yeah, and Jessica saying this one nicely correlates with the spread, which has been moving Detroit's way all week. Yes, it definitely has been.
Yeah. We want Detroit playing from ahead here and not having to throw the ball.
The Lions being crazy scores sensitive means there's a decent chance Goff does one of his 18 pass attempt games. Yeah,
and it's very possible.
And that is fantastic for us.
Yeah, no, that would be nice.
Yeah,
they've been in closer games lately, so I think maybe if the market's reacting to like recent stuff, like they've actually been playing good teams. But against the Bears, like they could easily go back to one of those games.
Yeah, like this is not a game where you have to really be concerning yourself if you are if you're the Lions passing attack here. Like you should be just fine. All right. One more play for us, and we're gonna be going to Bijan Robinson here. We're gonna be going to his rushing market.
Yeah, if you talk to him this week, Tom, don't tell him that we're betting this, but we're looking at his under here. Under 91.5 minus 110 at 365 is our best line. But really any of the lines out there are going to be very similar. This is not a knock on Bijan. Like he's great, obviously. I think this is kind of the market reacting to what the perception of this game should be, but that's not necessarily the way I think it's guaranteed to play out. So they see, okay, we're against the New York Giants. The Giants are terrible. They'll be playing from ahead. Running backs, they run for a lot against the Giants. A lot of that's in garbage time because they're just running the ball and the Giants are terrible. But when Atlanta plays from ahead, we tend to see a lower percentage of Bijan Robinson. They work in more Tyler Algier to grind that clock. And so that's kind of what I'm expecting here. Like Bijan should have a good game. If he breaks a long run, he'll get there. But I'm not expecting like all of this garbage time work for Bijan where he's going to be able to pad his stat total. I think we're going to see quite a bit of Tyler Algier this week.
Are we a little bit worried about Michael Penix? I mean, at least he gets a nice soft landing spot against the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, we're certainly a little concerned, especially if the team decides to lean on the run more because he's an inexperienced rookie quarterback, which the Blitz is expecting that to an extent, but if they take it to an extreme, then that's not great. So there's some uncertainty there.
Mhm.
There's also the possibility that, I mean, with Penix, the offense, I mean, we don't know. Like I said, rookie quarterbacks can be really bad sometimes.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, this guy's a automatic upgrade over Kirk Cousins. Like maybe not.
Yeah.
The offense maybe doesn't work as well, and so they don't keep the ball around as much, and they can't move it. They can't move the chains, and Bijan, has trouble getting there because of that. Like there are lots of ways that this can get there. There are certainly ways that it doesn't as well. But I think we have enough wiggle room with this value here that I'm willing to kind of take on that variance.
Al Mello saying Bijan under plus Algier over SGP at plus 275. You do have you do have correlation there, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. So you see, the Blitz is projecting some over value for Algier. Yeah, you could definitely do that.
Yeah. And you're getting a couple extra yards there at the Rivers. Curtis Victor saying no idea we were popping off early. Got to play catch up. Yeah, sorry, Curtis. Tried to put out the word, but we are back at our normal time next week after the holidays, which will be an interesting one since we got those Wednesday games. We will not be doing a prop show for Christmas for the Christmas games here. All right. Well, that is going to conclude. That's going to conclude our prop programming portion of the schedule here. Connor Frazier, I see you and Sports Videos already having some questions in there. Sports Videos wants to know about Gibbs rushing yards. Let's open the floor. Guys, throw in your questions, throw in everything you want to ask. But in the meantime, I'll recap us right now. We got the Caleb Williams under 20.5 completions, minus 108 at FanDuel. Cooper Rush over 21.5 completions, minus 128 at FanDuel. Be aware, it's an official play for us because we have it. We wanted it at 20.5. Would not recommend tailing this one necessarily, but if we win, we win. Breece Hall under 3.5 receptions, minus 120 at Hard Rock. Amari Cooper under 2.5 receptions, plus 105 at Bet365. Dorian Thompson-Robinson over 0.5 interceptions, minus 160 at FanDuel. Laying the juice there, but hey, he's going to throw a lot, and they should be pretty bad balls. Bryce Young under 3.5 carries, plus 110 at Bet Rivers. Matt Stafford under half a rushing yard, minus 110 at Bet365. Jameson Williams under 3.5 receptions, plus 110 at Bet365. And Bijan under 91.5 rushing yards, minus 110 at Bet365. All right, Derek, let's talk about Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah. You can see there's a little value on the under for him. Probably not enough for me to actually bet. Obviously, this is a great spot. I mean, for all the reasons we talked about with maybe Goff won't throw the ball that much, like they might be running it, an equal amount with Jahmyr Gibbs and with Montgomery out. But I think the reason we're looking at some undervalue here is because, okay, Montgomery's out. Everyone's like, Jahmyr Gibbs to the moon. Like for fantasy, he's like the best play this week, and we're just expecting a huge game from him here. Game script sets up well. But that kind of thing does tend to get baked too heavily into the market. Like the market knows people want to bet the over on Jahmyr Gibbs this week.
Yeah.
So they set the lines a little higher so that there's not actually value on betting the over, which means there's value on betting the under.
Yep.
Also worth noting, last year, Montgomery missed 3 games. It's not like Gibbs got all the work. Gibbs got like 70% of the carries in those 3 games. Craig Reynolds got 25%, a assorted amount to, wide receivers and whatever. Dan Campbell has mentioned all 3 backup running backs this week. He's mentioned Reynolds. He's mentioned Vaki. He's even mentioned Jamar Jefferson looking good, who's on the practice squad. So it'll be interesting if they call him up tomorrow. I mean, he could get there because he's Gibbs and he's amazing and he breaks some long runs and he is definitely going to get volume. Like he's going to have a good game here. He should. But it looks like the line is set just a little too high. I probably wouldn't bet the under, but I certainly wouldn't bet the over.
Yeah. All right. Jessica saying, I'm talking about Michael Penix. I'm not 100% sold on DeBoer offense directly translating to the NFL for Penix specifically because it doesn't matter too much on this prop, but like those Huskies last year, they played wide with Polk and Rome. Nitish says Mac Jones passing yards over. Let's talk about the return of the Mac here.
Yeah, so the Blitz likes this. The only reason this was not a show play is because I'm just waiting for the completions market to open up. They're nowhere has completions on Mac Jones, but he's going into a dome, potentially playing from behind, or at the very least a close back and forth game. He's been throwing the ball. It's not like this is a team that's just leaning on the run with a backup quarterback here. He's got pretty good weapons to throw to. Brian Thomas has looked great lately. Yeah. And it's a low line. I mean, 204 is a low line. So if you want to bet this, you can. I'm just going to wait out the completions market because I imagine there's going to be probably even more value on that. And I like completions more than yards.
Yeah. And the Raiders, I mean, no Max Crosby. This defense is not doing well. I don't really care that they quote unquote bottled up Kirk Cousins last week. That was more Kirk Cousins being Kirk Cousins. More will say must watch television, this Jags Raiders game. Yeah, this is the game of the week here that you're going to be riveted to.
Surprised they didn't flex it into one of the primetime spots.
Yeah. Landscaper Bob says, what was the Cooper play? It was the Cooper completions over 21.5, but we wanted it at 20. The edge isn't what it was. I would recommend we would recommend passing on it, but we had given it out, so we have to keep it on the record for transparency here. But I would stay away. Mets wants to know, how does Stroud project this week? Over 20.5 looks good.
Well, we can take a look. CJ Stroud. It looks like the Blitz is kind of kind of in line with the market.
Yeah. Not really finding you an edge on that one there. Traff TV wants to know, Josh Jacobs over rushing attempts is a big number, but still popping. Think there's risk they take some load off him of up big. I mean, they have been very confident in and comfortable in just pounding the rock with Jacobs.
Yeah, they really have. I think if you follow the Coach Speak Index on Discord, which I always recommend because it's amazing, I think a reporter actually asked Matt LaFleur this week about Jacobs' workload, whether they're worried about it, whether they're going to start taking some off of him. He was basically like, yeah, like we've been mindful of it, but we're fine. He'll tell us if he gets tired. So they said maybe they'll start considering taking some workload off if they lock in a playoff spot. Haven't done that yet. If they're up by 3 touchdowns, we'll probably see some Chris Brooks or some blanking on the other guy's name, but I expect Jacobs to have a big workload here.
Yeah. All right. Derek M and Kyle are both asking Mixon rushing attempts and Joe Mixon rushing yards here. Yeah, and Connor Frazier also saying Mixon rushing yards, but everybody's liking Joe Mixon right now.
This was the first bet I made this week on whatever it was, Tuesday or Wednesday. And it's a rare one where I like the yards more than the attempts. We'll look at the attempts real quick. Mm-hmm. Like the attempts are set pretty high. I guess Rivers has an off market line here, and you can see there's value here.
Yeah.
But if you look at the yards are just silly low. It's been moving up a little bit.
Wow.
I mean, 59.5 for a guy who's gone over 100 yards in like 75% of his healthy games this year, something like that. Like it's insanely low. I thought it opened this way early in the week because he kind of had that ankle injury last week and maybe there was some uncertainty with it. And then there's the whole narrative about the Chiefs' run defense being so good. Run defensive stats are so noisy. Like they really don't matter that much. And certainly not to the extent that he should be down under 60 yards.
Yeah.
They'll be playing from behind against KC most likely and won't have the luxury of running as
will they?
Maybe not. I mean, the spread is actually closer than I had just off the top of my head expected it was going to be when I looked earlier this week.
You have to remember they've been adjusting the line for Mahomes playing when they figured he was going to be out before they realized that his ankle was built out of adamantium.
Right. But yeah, I mean, even if you do some just basic back of the envelope math on that, like the books are projecting 17, the 17.5 rushing yards or rushing attempts rather, and like 60 yards here, like that breaks out to like 3.25 yards per attempt, like that. I don't care how good you think the defense is. We should never be that certain about which defenses are good and which aren't, especially when it comes to rushing. And Mixon's an elite back who they like to lean on. They like to give a ton of volume. This looks like an easy over to me where the market is just reacting to something that doesn't matter that much.
Yeah, sports videos. Both the Texans and Chiefs are good yet terrible. That is so accurate. And KC does like to play with its food. I mean, they're not playing with their food. They are messing around a little bit, but it's they're man, this is about that time where we're like, this is finally the year, and we all know this ends with Blondie celebrating on the field after the Super Bowl. How about Balin Hefferman here saying 21 and a half attempts for Jacobs, or 21 and a half carries on MGM? That is a whopper.
I mean, it is, but you can see the Blitz is projecting 24 here. They're facing the Saints, who are one of the fastest paced teams in the league, and are also bad because they're missing all of their good skill players, and they're missing their quarterback, and now they're missing Alvin Kamara. Yep. So Green Bay should be playing with a lead, should be running the ball plenty. Really, the biggest question mark here with this is just, does he get there before they start working in the other backs late in the game? And I think he probably does. But you never know, but this one does look good.
Yeah. Yahtzee, by the way, saying a rare occasion of betting yards over attempts. Yeah, that's what we're looking at here. But Jessica Brand asks, since we're talking about the same game here, Kendre Miller over rush yards, get in before Kamara's ruled out. Probably a little late to the boat, but hey.
No, it hasn't moved that much. You can definitely still get in here. I bet this a couple days ago when it was looking like Kamara was going to be out. I think I got it at 49, so it has moved. Even today, it's moved considerably. I thought it was still around 50 or 51. But you're still good to bet this here pretty much anywhere. They are going to be playing from behind, but again, fast-paced game outside the dome, so they might be running a little bit more. Not playing with Derek Carr, so they might be running a little bit more. Kendre Miller he's looked pretty good the last couple of weeks. Like they seem to like him now.
They've freed him from Dennis Allen.
Yeah, Dennis Allen hated Kendre Miller, hated him. And Rizzy, the new coach, is like, clean slate. We're going to give you a shot, Kendre. And he's kind of made good on it the last couple of weeks with Kamara out. I do expect them to work in Jamal Williams, maybe some of Bub Means and Jordan Mims. Jordan Mims is the one. I get them confused every single time. It's two guys on the same roster with weird M names. Jordan Mims probably work in a little bit, but I think Miller's going to get the bulk of the work here. And this is a pretty low number for a guy who could easily just step into Kamara's role. Yeah. Kamara opened last week at almost 80 yards. Like, obviously, matchups, everything else, but like, this is a low number for a guy who could get, like 3/4 of the carries.
Yeah. Milo also saying, if I want first quarter alt rushing yards on Jacobs to drop, feel like they just run him a ton early. Yeah, that's it's worth looking at there. Connor Fraser also wants to know, how does Flowers project? How does Zay Flowers projected with the Ravens wide receiver room starting to look thin here? Looks like no Bateman this week, right?
Have we heard about Bateman? Is he not playing?
Let me double check. Although someone in the chat's probably going to beat me to it, but
last I heard, it wasn't that
he's
bad.
Questionable.
Yeah. So, I mean, if Bateman's out, then I know it kind of likes, I think, some unders right now with Flowers. But it is assuming Bateman is going to play. And it's not like it's that much value. If Bateman is out, this will not look as good. I wouldn't bet this if we're at all uncertain about Bateman. I want to look into him a little bit more. Their wide receiver room, unless Bateman is out, really isn't that thin. I mean, Aguilar is questionable too. Like, if he's out, then that's another thing we have to worry about.
Connor is saying Aguilar is out.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. Okay. I mean, they have been saying that they kind of trust Tylan Wallace. They've been talking up Devontae Walker the last couple of weeks. But if Aguilar's out and if Bateman could be out, I'd avoid this one until we have more of an idea. Yeah, and Deontay's still out. He's a non-factor. We were never expecting Deontay to do anything anyway.
How has he not been cut? They're just like, he's excused from team activities. And it's like, what? He's just quit. Bateman, sports video saying Bateman is playing to his knowledge. And after all, he is Lamar Jackson. So we're getting the inside scoop on this one here. Let's see. We had I lost my place here. because we did have another question. There we go. Dave Connolly, still newish to the show. First off, thank you so much for joining us, man. Hope you have already hit that subscribe button, but thanks for being here. Do you ever look at fringe guys who might not have yardage props as TD scorers? We don't look at a lot of TD scoring guys.
Yeah, I do almost no TD bets, mostly because I don't think books offer us very fair odds on them. Almost no books let you bet both sides of it. Like, they know people want to bet over touchdown. No one wants to bet under touchdowns, especially if they have to pay, minus 500 for it or something.
Yeah.
So they just offer the over odds, which means they can hide their hold. They can offer kind of whatever odds they want, and they're bad, and they're all negative EV bets, and people are none the wiser. There are exceptions, of course, and I think there are probably exceptions for some certain guys like this. Like, I don't want to say never, but really, I would probably never bet an over touchdown on a star player, but on a fringier guy where maybe they're not paying as much attention to him, he's going to have more of a role than they're expecting. You might find some value, a 15-1 shot on a fourth wide receiver or something like that.
As I like to talk about, it's the guys that, like, they only get 1 or 2 targets per game, but they get red zone targets, and maybe that's not being priced in. I'm not saying this is an edge that I go out and actively exploit, so it might not even exist, but that's one of the kind of circumstances that would lead me to an anytime touchdown. Yeah.
So there are certainly times you can do it, but unless you're certain you're getting value, I would say don't bet touchdowns.
Yeah. Trey McBride is a lock this week. It's finally going to happen, he says, for the 9th straight
Tyler Murray said he wants to get him in the end zone, so we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, man. Should we start betting him for just up to the end of the season here? It's only a couple weeks at this point. Jessica saying Ravens beat earlier today, said doesn't look like it's that serious on Bateman. So there you go. He might actually be playing. Cool. Michael Zimmerman says if they cut Deontay Johnson, he'll go to the Steelers. They're blocking it, I think, which makes a lot of sense there. Changing 500 wants to know about Lamar rushing yards here. So, yeah, let's talk about Lamar Jackson.
You can take a look at Lamar rushing yards. Very little value this week on it. You can see the Blitz is pretty much in line with the projection, or pretty much in line with the market. I don't see a reason to bet this one this week.
Yeah, not looking great. But Lamar wants to know thoughts on AOC passing yards. Surprised the Blitz was so high on him. Well, I mean, anyone's better than Desmond Ridder, and the Raiders' offense still works. You got Brock Bowers, you got Jacoby Myers. They have some pieces there.
Yeah, I mean, the Blitz thought Desmond Ridder overs were amazing last week, and he started slow, and there were some people in the Discord who were like, "How could it like Ridder?" And then he got there, like easily. He got there. Yeah. If you actually look at, because I looked it up with Ridder last week, I'm like, yeah, the projection does look high, but then I'm like, is this even in line with like what's happened? Because I don't do a lot of game log hunting, but I looked. Raiders quarterbacks have gone over 22.5, I think, every game except for 3 this year.
Not to mention the fact that you've got all the running back injuries.
Right. You got the running back injuries. McCormick is out now too. O'Connell's actually, decent, at least by backup quarterback standards. Like, he's good.
Yeah.
And he's got good weapons to throw to. He's got Bowers. He's got Jacoby Myers. This offense is, I don't know, that I'm trying to figure out what I want to say. I like it.
Yeah.
The overs have shown up pretty well all year for this. And, this is maybe not quite the threshold I would want to bet it, but I don't dislike it.
Mm-hmm. Chad saying AOC passing yards has really jumped 224 earlier this week. It's now at 238.
Yeah.
It's still showing an edge.
Yeah. If you got the 224, I think I would have been on that.
Yeah.
You can see, I mean, the Blitz is projecting a high number here. It's also worth noting that since they changed offensive coordinators, they have gone extremely pass heavy, and losing McCormick is not going to make them lean into the run anymore.
Mm-hmm. Connor saying Trey McBride was plus 170 this week and plus 100 this week. That is ridiculous.
I was actually curious what his odds were going to be because he hasn't scored the touchdown. I'm like, are books like gonna? No, yeah. They're not. They're giving you terrible odds regardless.
Yep. All right. Drew Lock rushing yards from Yahtzee.
We can take a look at Drew Lock rushing yards.
And Rob Holden does say O'Connell pass attempts look good too, which makes sense. We're projecting a high pass volume game for him. So yeah.
Yeah. Not a lot of value here on Lock rushing yards. Maybe a tiny bit on the under, but nothing that I'm rushing out to bet.
Mm-hmm.
We'll take a look at O'Connell attempts while we're here. Yeah, so there's definitely some value here. You can see the Blitz is projecting about 3 attempts over. This is probably the market I would.
Okay, yeah, we lost you there. After this is the market you'll attack.
No, that's it. If I was going to bet O'Connell, I think this is the best of the 3.
Gotcha. Yeah, you froze up, and I was like, I have a feeling he was done with his thought, but I'm also trying to determine if he's still with us. All right. Nathaniel Pucci wants to know, what do you think of the Kansas City backfield? Seeing value of Pacheco unders and Hunt overs here.
The thing with the Kansas City backfield is that we have no idea.
Yeah.
So the Blitz is kind of hedging basically, which is showing the value, like you said, over on Hunt, under on Pacheco. The first week Pacheco was back, they kind of split up the work. Hunt actually got a little bit more, but he was just coming off the injury. They were easing him in. It's like, all right, we can throw that game out. The next week, Pacheco goes out, and it's like a 70-30 split, and Pacheco's getting like most of the work. And it's like, okay, we see what happens here. Pacheco was their guy to start the year. He's healthy now. He's the guy again. And then last week, it's like an even split again.
Yeah.
So I have no idea. Right now, I'm projecting the split slightly in favor of Pacheco, but closer to even. Who knows? If Pacheco winds up being this, being the 70-30 thing again, then this is a loser. If it's closer to even, then this is good value. So do with that what you will, but this is a very fragile projection. Keep in mind if you're going to bet this one.
Yeah. What about Lock's passing yards? The Dome has him looking at an over, says Andrew Brennan.
I mean, it is a Dome. They are going to be playing from behind. I probably don't hate it. Let's see what the line is set at. Yeah, I mean, 191. The Blitz is seeing some value here. Not enough for me to bet that.
Yeah. Not quite there. Not quite there for us. But Yahtzee says, who's getting the volume rushing volume for Tampa Bay this week? Another question that we never know the answer to, although it goes with Jessica Brand's Rashad White under, which he owes us some money.
Yeah, I would like to think it's going to be Bucky Irving, and that Rashad White looks good.
Yeah.
They said Bucky Irving's looking healthy now, looking like his old self. He was kind of taking the lead in that backfield before he was dealing with his injuries. White has gotten there, but in unsustainable ways, I feel like recently. The bigger concern, I think, is that Sean Tucker really hasn't mixed in much lately. It is going to be mostly Bucky Irving and Rashad White, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're still probably looking at some value there.
Yeah. Let's see here. DeAndre Qualunat, welcome back, bro. Been a minute since I've seen your name, although I know you've been in here. DeAndre Swift, 15 plus carries, plus 130 on Bet365.
Yeah, I bet his carries yesterday, the day before. I got it at 13.5 plus money.
Nice.
Looks like the best line is minus 115 now. But you can see the Blitz is projecting 15.9. If you're getting, I'd want better than plus 130 on 15 plus carries. I'd want more like plus 200, I think.
Yeah, that is a lot. That's a big number.
Yeah,
especially
they're not giving you good enough odds for that.
Yeah. But we still do like the 13.5 a little bit.
Oh yeah, I like the 13.5 quite a bit.
Yeah.
The line has moved considerably from where it opened, but I do like this. They're going to be playing from behind. We mentioned with Caleb Williams, the play volume may be a little bit in question. Roschon Johnson is back this week, but even when Roschon was healthy, his last few healthy games, like Swift was getting like 80% of the carries. Like he's their guy. They're going to run him quite a bit. It's just a matter of, do they fall behind quickly enough that they have to abandon the run?
Yeah.
But I'd be willing to bet this. I like this one.
Yeah. Jessica Brand saying Waddle just broke to doubtful, figure useful. Yep, he's probably going to be out for this.
That's how I was projecting him, so that's good. I won't need to make an adjustment. I imagine we'll be getting some Malik Washington props out soon. I'll be curious to look at them.
Yeah. Aaron Eubanks says, how do we feel about Russell Wilson pass yards? Would you play over 205.5?
No, I would not. The Blitz hates Russell Wilson.
It does. The Blitz really hates him.
It hates him. Yeah,
Every week.
Some value. It hates him, and he hasn't been looking as good of late. He's kind of regressed the way we were expecting. It's a run-heavy offense. George Pickens is going to be out again, which is certainly not going to help anything.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm betting the under on him. If anything, maybe I'd wait for his completions and then look at that. But it's okay.
Yeah.
Especially when most books are 19.5. That wouldn't be enough for me.
Yep. Sports videos.
No, definitely not betting the over.
Yeah. Sports videos also saying no need to look at any Dolphins pass catchers other than the GOAT, sexy tight end Jonnu Smith there.
We were getting Jonnu like over 2.5, over 3.5 receptions at like plus 160 earlier this year. What are his lines set at now?
Remember midway through the season when we hit on that ladder?
That
was great.
Yeah, the market has very much caught up on Jonnu. I love him. I mean, you can see he projects for almost 6 receptions, but there is no value on betting him right now, unfortunately.
Yep. Rob Holden, rest in peace, the Chuba train. Chuba looks mad this week. He hasn't been doing great for us the last couple of weeks.
No, he has not. Last week they just fell behind way too much. They're not giving us any kind of discount on him anymore. Earlier in the year, we were getting Chuba overs at 13.5 lines, 14.5 lines, and that's just not the case anymore.
Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. Derek M. Amir Abdullah receiving yards. I mean, he has been the receiving back for the Raiders.
He has. Madison will work in on the receiving work a little bit. Not a lot of value here, it looks like.
Yeah. And then Jalen McMillan receiving yards. Derek also wants to know.
He's been so hyped. I'll be surprised if there's value on him. I do like him. I think there's lots of upside for him. But it looks like not a lot of value betting him.
Yeah. What's the amount of saying I'm not late, y'all are early? Yes, that is that is a factually accurate statement.
That is true.
Oh man. Sick boy saying he had Jonnu virtually every no. Oh, you had to drop Jonnu. That's rough. That's rough going there. He finally started being good. I'm happy to see it. It's been so long. But Derek, I think that's going to bring us to the end of our programming here. We're out of questions from people, and we've made it through a whole hour here. Super easy because we have a great chat, as always, even with the early schedule today. Guys, thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for all your questions. Thank you for watching the show. Don't forget, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you missed us early, if you hit that notification button, you'll make sure that you see us every time we go live. And of course, you can check out on our social channels when we tell all of when we tell you, hey, here's the programming schedule, here are the updates and all that. Please join us next week. We'll be back at our usual time, right, Derek?
Yes, definitely.
Perfect. So we'll be back at noon Pacific instead of noon Eastern. Thank you guys all so much. Jessica, thank you so much for the kind words. It means a lot coming from you, because Jessica's also, give Jessica a follow if you don't already. She is one of the smartest people in this industry. Just absolutely fantastic, especially when it comes to player projections and talking about that. Guys, thank you so much. What's the motto? Do not bet the Cooper Rush prop. Don't bet it. We talk about it early in the show. We can save you here. Don't bet that one. We thought it was a 20.5. You'll see when you get there, but just don't bet that one, man. All right. That is going to do it for us. Guys, thank you so much once again. We'll see you next time, and let's cash some tickets. Have a happy holidays. We'll see you after.